guess I'm just working on my fear of heights while I'm in Colorado. Our names are Mike and Heather. We're traveling the US in our van Appa on a mission to visit all 50 states. Subscribe and join us as we try to figure out this whole van life thing. As always, thanks for watching.
We are here in the Colorado Springs area, more specifically around Manitou Springs, and more specifically than that, we are starting our day at the Garden of the Gods, and then we're kind of ending the day as we move into the evening by driving up Pikes Peak, which is a really famous mountain here in the United States. I think it's one of the most visited mountains in the world, and you can actually drive your vehicle up to the top. So an exciting day of activities ahead of us, and I'm excited to get started.
Best part about Garden of the Gods so far is that it's free, so let's go check it out. So Garden of the Gods and this area just outside of Colorado Springs is known for the towering red rocks that we're just now getting a peek of a little bit away from the parking lot, and we're actually going to be walking into them in just a moment here. So I'm very excited to see these rocks up close.
So this is definitely a popular tourist destination here in Colorado. We're here kind of late morning, early afternoon, right around 12 o'clock time, and it's pretty popular. A lot of people on the trail, and it's also worth noting too that this is still at high altitude, so we're feeling a little bit of that that thinner air up here. But it's been a cool hike. We've switched over to a paved trail, which is nicer than the semi-paved trail, and now we're really getting to see these red rocks up and close.
I think we just don't like to admit that we're slightly out of shape.
I'm not sure if you can see, but in the distance there, right underneath that low-hanging cloud, is Pikes Peak, and we're actually driving that later today.
So sweaty.
Okay, the shoes are coming off. We don't need them anymore today.
The feet stink is coming out, you mean?
Yeah.
We are pumping the AC in our van here, and we are heading out of Gardens of the Gods and towards Pikes Peak, which we actually saw when we were walking one of the many trails, because we definitely got lost and had to do a whole bigger loop than we were anticipating. So I'm very happy that Pikes Peak is just a driving route.
So we are going to be driving a road up to the top of Pikes Peak. Pikes Peak summit is above 14,000 feet above sea level, and Appa's not the best at hills. So we're gonna see how this goes. I don't think we'll not be able to do it, but it may take us a little bit of time.
And we may make some people behind us a little bit mad at our speed, but gotta do what we gotta do. When researching things to do in Colorado and the Colorado Springs area, driving to the top of Pikes Peak was #1 on the list, so we couldn't pass it up, even though we tried to tend to avoid hills in other areas that we visited, but we can't pass up Pikes Peak when we're here. So hopefully we make it to the top.
Hi.
Make sure to use those low gears coming down so you won't have hot brakes, okay?
All right, sounds good. Thank you so much.
Thank you. So we just made it through the gates, past the Pikes Peak Ranger checkpoint, and it says a 19-mile highway to the clouds to explore Colorado's most famous peak. But the ranger asked if we had at least half a tank of gas, because I guess that's how much you go through, or at least they want to make sure you're not stranded up here.
Yeah, and to also be familiar with low gears so you don't burn your brakes on the way down, because you've got 19 miles of pretty steep downhill. So far so good, but we're in the first zone, which is, I guess, the foothills area, but we are just going up from here. We've turned off the air conditioning to keep the car cool, because we're going to be pushing the engine as we're just going uphill, but we're starting to get some amazing views. 14,000 feet is going to be really incredible, because we've never been that high before. So that's going to be something completely different than anything we've experienced. We have waters to keep hydrated, because we did see that people get headaches driving up because of the altitude changes. So I've already felt my ears pop a couple times, and we're just at the beginning.
We just crossed a sign as we were inching up that said Bigfoot crossing, and we were not successful on the Pacific coast searching for Bigfoot, which is apparently where he's from, but maybe we'll get lucky on our way to Pikes Peak here today. That's the peak right there that we're heading towards. You can see cars coming down it now. But all the way up there is where we still have to go.
Yeah.
Getting closer.
I don't think we've gotten to 12,000 feet yet, so we still have over 2,000 feet of vertical gain that we have to get before we get up there. Oh wait, no, we go all the way up there, Heather.
Oh wow. Just kidding, I lied. We go up there. Uh-oh.
What?
Someone didn't make it up.
Wait, for real?
Yeah.
Wow. Oh my goodness. So that's not gonna happen to us, Appa.
Don't you have any ideas?
Now we're on the edge. Now we're up into the alpine zone, it looks like. This is the first part I've been kind of like a little nervous on after seeing someone not make it up.
We're doing good though.
Yeah, we are. We're definitely doing good. The speed limit I think is 30 or 35. We're doing a cool 20. Sorry, anyone who's behind us. Which there hasn't really been. I think we caught it at a good moment, but we're starting the switchbacks, so.
Oh gosh.
Okay.
Yeah, not a fan.
Okay, that wasn't bad. This is okay. Look at that view. Wow. This is wild, Heather.
Yeah, I don't like it.
This is intense. I think we were kind of like, where are the cliff edge views as we were driving up through the tree line area? And now that we're up into that tundra alpine zone, and there's not tree lines, and it's a pretty steep drop off, yeah, I've got two hands pretty tight on the wheel here. Not that the road's not good. This is actually a pretty fantastic drive. The switchbacks really aren't too bad. The road is a nice width, all of that. It just is being up here with that next to you is pretty intense.
So we're passing some spots where you can pull off and actually do some mini hikes, but for being honest, I just want to get to the top and get back down into the tree line because this is some pretty sketchy driving and my fear of heights is starting to kick in. I'm ready to get to the top and then back down. Oh my gosh, we still have to go all the way up there.
Wow. This is incredible.
We're spotting some wildlife. So we successfully pulled back onto the road after that little pull out where we saw the sheep. I managed to grab a layer because it is definitely getting chilly, and I'm feeling better about this drive now because my favorite thing about driving through natural areas is wildlife spotting, and I got to see some sheep, so feeling a little bit better. It calmed me down, but I think the hardest part is yet to come because we are nowhere near the top yet. We still have to get to there.
I very much am like leaned forward driving too. Pika!
Mile 19 are the pika.
And we are up above 14,000 feet now.
We saw pika for the first time yesterday at the Rocky Mountain National Park, and they were a cute little animal, so we were very excited that the 19th mile marker is a pika. And I'm also excited because that means that we're nearing the top and we can start going back down.
We've got a raven just soaring next to us. And so I think ravens are really amazing to see when we're at high altitude because they're just so acrobatic in the air. We saw them doing inverted dives and just almost playing on the updrafts and the winds up here. Yeah, we made it. How cool is this? Like that's clouds.
As if the drive up here wasn't scary enough being on the ledge, you can also walk out onto the ledge off of a boardwalk. So I'm imagining that's what we're going to be doing next.
Yes, after I grab a sweatshirt. All of the stuff in here is super full too.
Yeah, because of the pressure, our chip bag has expanded.
And our fridge has popped
Squishy.
open because of, look at this.
Yeah. Now, we all know how very few chips are in chip bags and how deflated that these usually look, but look at how puffy.
We might have to open these and reseal them so that I can get the fridge to close, because the fridge would not close. Maybe that's what we'll eat for lunch. So we're at the top of Pikes Peak, which is over 14,000 feet. This is, I think, the highest that we've ever been. I'm not 100%, but I can't imagine anywhere where we would have been higher in elevation than this.
Airplane.
Yeah, we're not far from where they're at.
And here's the sketchy boardwalk I was talking about.
I mean, it's not, there's like not any area where you're like truly over the edge, except for up there.
Wherever you're going, I'm going to. I'll follow you through the black and the blue. Whatever the mountain, we'll climb to the next. Honey, I'm with you through.
We've made it past the boardwalk section, and it's actually an area where you can kind of go out a little bit and venture out. I didn't. Mike did, and got to walk to like the 2 points, but we're actually sitting next to the train tracks, so you can see the train that you would take up here, which is pretty cool. So that would be a really awesome scenic train drive. I really think that it was cool getting up here in our van, because that's what we're all about this time, but I would definitely take the train ride up here. I think I'd be a little bit less nervous because somebody else would be in control of everything.
Yeah.
I don't know if I trust us as well on the curves as I would a conductor, because at least they're locked into some straight lines.
Yeah, I will say it's very buggy up here, but the views are absolutely incredible. Because this is kind of like a peak, you get these really incredible 360-degree views all the way around the surrounding areas, and you're so high so you can see so far in the distance, but we're right at the same level as clouds. Oh, that was right.
We all know that you're a fan of bugs.
Yeah, but there's also a visitor center up here that we're going to check out. Oh, they're swarming.
So let's go check that out now. The visitor center was really nice. They had a cafe, a little museum, and of course a gift shop. But now we are headed down the 19 miles. We're definitely not going to be riding our brakes the whole way down. The ranger warned us, the pamphlet warned us, so we're going to heed that advice, and we are going to be in low gear, braking as little as possible.
We're able to switch between first and second gears pretty easily. The only problem is not the Ford Transit in front of us, but the car in front of them is just using their brakes, so they're not really doing this as efficient as they can. They're gonna just ride their brakes down, and we don't necessarily want to do that.
We are working our way down. The only bad part about going down is that we're closer to the edge on this side. So we are almost at the tree line now. We're just at the very tippy top of them. So we should be at a spot on the drive that has a little bit more, what do you call it, shoulder? Which
More
I will.
shoulder, less incline, fewer switchbacks.
So I'm getting excited. We're getting to the less scary part.
Are you kidding me? There's no way that we caught up to that group.
How's it going?
Good, how are you?
Good, just taking breaks into you.
Yeah.
Want them under 300 degrees. You're showing about 371 there. It's a safety thing, could also cause damage if they're too hot for too long.
Okay.
So either parking lot, left, right hand side, just wait between 5 to 10 minutes, let them cool down a bit. That's because the next 3 miles going down, the steepest part of the road still coming up there.
Going down the road to Pikes Peak, there's a mandatory brake checkpoint where they use a thermometer to check your brake temperature, and it can't be over 300 degrees Fahrenheit, or it puts them at risk of not working or damaging your car in the long run. But in our defense, we got stuck behind a car that was braking, and it actually caused a backup of like probably 15 to 20 cars. So we were forced to use our brakes going down.
More than we would have liked.
Yes.
Yeah.
We even tried pulling off off a couple times to like let the lead grow, but because one car was braking, all the rest of us were forced to. So basically everybody in that line is now pulled over here. So slightly annoyed because we did try doing the right thing and researched and were using low gear, but unfortunately we just got stuck behind people who weren't, and now we have to wait, which isn't the worst thing because it's a pretty nice place to wait.
Just as a safety thing, it's a good thing and we're not upset about that. I think it's more just kind of like we were doing it right and still are stuck behind people who weren't.
It is a nice spot that they're having us wait. There is a little cafe, it looks like. There's a little park across there. So, not a bad spot, but hopefully we'll be able to get going soon and not get stuck behind slow-moving, braking cars. On a positive note, we have a lot more shoulder to our right and left now as we're going down. We have made it back down to the tree line, just past that Bigfoot sign, so there's been lots of sightings for Bigfoot through here. We did see a Bigfoot at the visitor center. They had a couple statues of them actually, and even obviously souvenirs you could buy. But we've been doing really well using low gear. We've barely been using our brakes through this section here. So I think we're in the home stretch and we're in the clear now. We made it.
We did it. We made it down. That's where you go in and get checked. We are conquerors of Pikes Peak, or at least Appa is, piloted by Mike and Heather. We have come into the town of Manitou Springs. We actually got out and were able to walk up and down the main street, check out some of the shops, and we had some really great Indian and
it was real good.
Nepali, I think. Indian and Nepali food for dinner, which was absolutely fantastic. And so we are now full and I think ready to go find a place to sleep for the night.
The original plan was to go find a boondocking site and then cook dinner and do the whole thing. We'll blame it on the rain, but it's really that we drove through this town and we're like, oh, there's food. So then we went and got some really great food. And now we're stuffed, but we still need to find a boondocking site. So let's go. Last night we boondocked in a parking lot just outside of Planet Fitness, so this morning we are gonna get a shower. Now that we're freshly showered, we're getting back on the road and slowly making our way to Leadville, Colorado.
Okay, this looks okay though.
Sure, that's a good spot.
Yeah.
We have made it to a boondocking site just outside of Leadville, Colorado, which is the tallest city in America. There are a lot of other people boondocking in this national forest as well, just by Turquoise Lake. So this seems like a popular place if you are going to be visiting Leadville. But we are going to do some exploring tomorrow and hopefully it's a little bit better weather. It is a little bit rainy here today, but I see some blue skies peeking through, so it might pass and come this way, which is hopefully what will happen. But in the meantime, I think we're just gonna hang out. We are hungry, so we're gonna end up cooking. It's already stopped raining as hard as it was when we were trying to find a spot down these bumpy, muddy roads, so food is next on our agenda. I have to put away our towels from this morning, but I don't know if the rain is going to necessarily hold off for much longer than it is right now, because I checked the weather and it does look like it's going to be thunderstorming the majority of the night. But tomorrow looks bright and sunny, which is all we could really hope for, because that's the day that we were planning on exploring Leadville. So I think what we're going to do, hear the thunder. It's not raining yet, but the thunder's definitely here. I think what we're gonna do is do a quick air fryer meal, because that will require a lot less standing outside to cook and a lot less mess to clean up if it does start pouring. It smells really good out here though, with the wet rain and the pine trees.
All right, dinner tonight. Totino's pizza rolls and ultimate plant-based buffalo chicken wings.
The plan for tonight was supposed to be pasta, but that's why we have these backup dinner options. For days like this when we can't really cook outside, we mostly eat this type of food when we're stuck in parking lots, but I guess scary thunderstorms at the top of a mountain will work just as well.
Yeah. So we're gonna start with appetizers and then move on to the entree. Do you have scissors?
It actually stopped raining long enough to be able to come outside of the van and show you what our boondocking site looks like. The blue sky did manage to start peeking through. Even though it's pretty busy here at this boondocking site, we still have a pretty big lot. It even has fire pits all throughout this dispersed camping area. So if we were smart enough to buy firewood, we definitely could be sitting around a fire here right now because it is a tad bit chilly at this altitude, but it's still very beautiful weather. It feels like the perfect fall weather, even though it's here in August. Overall, a very nice boondocking site for the night just outside of Leadville that is going to put us in the perfect spot to be able to explore it tomorrow. It's back to thundering and lightning, and the storm must be incredibly close. You know, after you see a lightning bolt, you have to count like 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, and the amount of seconds that you count away is how many miles or whatever that is. This is like lightning bolt thunderclap, like immediately after, so it is super close, and it is kind of a really intense storm to be watching, so kind of cool, also a little bit scary.
There's some good lightning out there. Do I look spooky, like half hidden in the front seat?
Yeah, the thunder really adds to it too.
Yeah, like a horror movie. Kerchow. Whoa. The fact that I said kerchow and then lightning exploded across the sky.
Good morning. Today, before we go into Leadville and explore the town a little bit, we are actually going to go on a scenic drive to Independence Pass. This road is probably going to be similar to Pikes Peak in some ways, that it is going to be windy, narrow, and steep, so I guess I'm just working on my fear of heights while I'm in Colorado. It's a scenic high mountain byway that will actually take you all the way to Aspen if you go the entire way, but at the very top is the Continental Divide. So we are going to be journeying all the way up to the very top and then turning around and coming back down here to Leadville to explore for the rest of the day. But there's lots of hiking, picnicking spots, there's even a swimming hole, and there's also a ghost town. So the town of Independence, I guess, was a silver mining town that has now become a ghost town since the silver kind of dried up there. So we'll even be able to check out a ghost town. But we are just headed away from our campsite to the road that will take you up to the Independence Pass. They don't allow big rigs.
Be close to over 35 feet.
Yeah, so it's definitely similar to Pikes Peak where they're very picky on what they allow up because the roads are so narrow. So fingers crossed it goes just as smoothly as it did in Pikes Peak, and yeah, hopefully it'll be good. Can you tell that I'm nervous?
Such a short time to be alive. All this hardship and convenience makes it so hard to make sense. I will miss it now. I will
The majority of this drive so far has been on really nice paved, really wide roads. So much so that I was like, Mike, are we sure that we're on the right road? Because I read online that it's supposed to be narrow, beautiful, white knuckling cliff edges. And I think we're finally getting to that point because we're seeing some switchbacks up ahead. But for the majority of this drive, it's actually been pretty pleasant. We're coming up on our first switchback, if you can see that sharp triangle here.
So after our first switchback on this Independence Pass, Colorado Highway 82, the uphill section now begins, and we already had a line of cars pass us.
I feel like the whole time we're on these type of roads, it's just me telling Mike to slow down, look straight ahead, don't look at the views. But the views are pretty amazing.
Are those people all up there? Yeah. Look at that.
Getting closer to the top. So we've made it to a seemingly very popular scenic overlook that we're gonna go check out. All the switchbacks that we just came up here on. We made it to another part on the Continental Divide. So it's pretty cool, and the map showed it really well. You can see the entire line down it. So it's kind of cool to know all the different places that we've been zigzagging across it. But now we are working our way back down in our low gears because we are not running through our brakes, but we're working our way back down the scenic drive. I think a lot of the points of interest that I saw online may be on the other side of the pass, headed towards Aspen, but we did pass several hiking spots, picnic spots, scenic overlook spots on this side as well. I don't think it has the Devil's Punch Bowl, which is the place that you can go swimming, or the Independence Ghost Town, which would have been cool. So that just means that we'll have to come back. I kind of thought that once we've been to a place, we'd be like, oh, cross it off the bucket list, that's over with and done. But all it's made me want to do is come back to all of these spots that we visited and just do a deeper dive into it. So I kind of like leaving some areas knowing that there's a reason to come back.
We're not exploring the states to the fullest extent that we could, but I think that we've picked up so many things that we want to do that there's no way we aren't going back to so many of these states to spend more time and explore further and learn more about everything happening here.
But we both like winter sports, so Aspen would just be absolutely incredible to come back during the winter and explore that a little bit more. So we will be back as long as we survive this drive down.
Although this pass goes up to about 12,000 feet above sea level, the grade coming up and down wasn't nearly as bad, and there weren't as many switchbacks.
As Pikes Peak.
As Pikes Peak, yeah, compared to the drive we did just the other day.
The cool part though, unlike Pikes Peak, is that this drive was free. Made it into Leadville, and we were unable to actually drive down the main street because it looks like there's some event going on. So I looked it up, and it says that it is Leadville Boom Days, which is a Colorado mountain festival and historic celebration of the Old West with gunslingers, burro racers, and contests of mining skills. So it should be pretty interesting. A little festival that we're going to go check out today. Or actually, it looks rather big. Leadville actually used to be an old silver mining town, and Doc Holliday, who is a famous Wild West, I guess, historic figure, used to frequent Leadville as well. Leadville is very busy right now with the festival. It's really cool to see everybody out and about, and they really do have almost every street packed with vendors.
A lot of the shops up and down were fun to go in. The one that I'm really excited about is a outdoor clothing company called Melanzana. In some of our videos, Heather and I have worn sweatshirts that came from that shop because my younger brother was stationed out of Colorado Springs, so he picked us up a couple. They quickly became one of our favorite things to wear, and we're super excited because we're able to snag an appointment to go into the shop and buy some more of the sweatshirts. Everything is made there in Leadville, and it's all different materials that have been manufactured here in the United States. So pretty cool, and a cool local business to support while we're in this part of Colorado.
But that's tomorrow. In the meantime, though, we came back up to find a boondocking site because we were a little bit worried with how busy it was yesterday and seeing the crowd there today, which I'm really glad that we did, because even driving in to find something now was very, very difficult. We did stop at a pizza place. It was what was it?
High Mountain Pies.
Which came highly recommended, and it was absolutely great. We even had some leftovers for a little bit later tonight, but I'd say that we found a pretty good spot. We have a fire ring. This time we'll actually be able to use it because 1, it's not raining, and 2, we got a fire starting log, and there is some sticks that were collected that we can use. But this is a pretty big space. There are still some tents and RVs behind us that you can see, but it's a lot less close than it was in the other section because we actually came further down the road. So there probably is still a lot of camping available. It's just how deep you want to go in those off-roads. But the plan for the rest of the day is really just to hang out at our campsite and enjoy the beautiful weather that Colorado is giving us.
I've said it many times, I know I would change my ways, I know for sure. When all the pros decide to meet.
You just got lucky.
I got lucky.
Yeah.
No, that was a good game. So you played well.
You didn't. Well, thank you, I did. How about it?
Come sit here with me by the fire and let it go for a little while. So be here as the night starts falling. Let my finger walk over your head. We got nothing to be scared of. I'd rather be with you than by myself.
Thank you.
Now all is in your head.
What's it say?
Remove label. Locate fire starter, stick and light. Drop fire starter in top hole. Enjoy. Okay.
Will lead me to an ending road, and heavy metal seemed to be the only thing that was for me. And I saw the angels coming down, and they sang a song, they sang it loud.
So this morning we woke up and headed back into the town of Leadville to get to our Melanzana appointment and also to check out more of the happenings with the Leadville Boom Days.
So we have successfully dropped a bunch of money at Melanzana. Not really, they're actually quite affordable. But I got myself a new sweatshirt as well as Mike.
Yes. So we got our special awesome sweatshirts, which are super comfortable and are just nice to wear.
So after a successful shopping trip at Melanzana, we walked up and down the streets. We actually saw some burro racing. So I saw that as one of the festivity events yesterday, and I was like, what the heck is that? But we actually got to see some. So they actually run with donkeys up to 15 miles, I think this most recent race was.
In my head, I was thinking, oh, people will jump on donkeys and race down the street.
And I thought they just let donkeys loose and race them like that.
We were both completely wrong. This is like a real road race event out into the mountains around Leadville, and the area around here has a lot of 14,000 foot peaks. So this is all high elevation running. So the stuff that these racers are doing is no joke, and to do that with an animal is really impressive.
So very nice day in Leadville, and that's gonna kind of wrap up our time here in Colorado, actually. The next part of our journey is a little bit more complicated. We actually have to drive back to South Dakota to fly out of Rapid City to go home for 2 weeks for a couple of weddings, and then we're gonna fly back to South Dakota and then head up to Alaska.
Yeah, so I don't know that we were ever really explicit with what this trip was going to look like. It started off as Route 66, as that was the beginning part of this trip. It was never going to end there. We always knew that this was going to lead into us checking off a lot of states from our 50 state list. So from there, we were able to take Highway 1 up the coast, and then we've just been zigzagging across the country, which has been amazing. This has been so much fun to live out of the van for an extended period of time. I think we've been here in the van for over 2 months now. It hasn't gotten old, which has been really amazing.
But I'm so excited because our next new state is going to be Alaska, where these sweatshirts are definitely going to come in handy. We're going to leave you here as we make our way back to South Dakota, so we'll see you next time.